And then in step 4, we're going to add support for reactive forms. So in our file app-module.ts, in the import section, we'll reference reactive forms module. So in step 5, we're going to define the form in the component.ts file. But here, let's take a look at a little screenshot of what our form is going to look like, a portion of it anyway. We'll have a customer group, and we'll also have a shipping address group. And each one of these groups will define form fields: first name, last name, email for customer; for shipping address, country, street, city, state, zip code. And we'll see how we actually write the API code for this, and also how we build the appropriate HTML layout. So here's the part of defining it in our component.ts files. In our checkout component.ts, we declare our form group called checkout form group. Then we inject the form builder into our constructor. And then we'll use the form builder to actually build the form. So here we have this.checkout form group equals this.formbuilder.group. All right, so we're creating a form group. And then for the first item here, we have customer. So that's the key for this group. And then we have this.formbuilder.group. And then we give the actual fields here for this given group. So we have first name, last name, and email. The quotes in square brackets, that means that's the initial value. The initial value for these form fields will be an empty string. And then we'll also have a method here called onSubmit. We simply log some data. That's the method to call when the submit button is clicked. We'll get into more of the event handling later, but just wanted to show you that's where the method will reside. Alrighty, so step 6 of laying out the form controls in the HTML template. So in our checkout component.html, we define this form group, and we give a reference to checkout form group. That's the name of the property from our component class that we just created. And then for customer, with first name, last name, email, we set up the customer group. So form group name of customer. And then I simply do an H3 here for customer. And then I add a row for our first name field. So I have input form control name equals first name type of text. And I simply repeat this process for the other rows for last name and email. And that's the basic piece of my form just for this one given group. And then also I need to add an event handler for form submission. So notice here, here's my form. At the bottom, I have a submit button for purchase. And then up top, I have the event handler or the event binding ng submit equals onSubmit. So that's the method to call when the submit button is clicked. And we saw that coding a little earlier. So onSubmit, we'll do a console.log saying, hey, handling the submit button. And then also I'll go through and read some of the form data. And now a bit more on reading the form data here. So I do a console.log, this.checkoutFormGroup.get customer.value. So that'll give me information about that given customer group. And so it'll output the data as JSON. So if I only wanted to get just the email address, then I could say this.checkoutFormGroup.get customer.value.email. So different ways of accessing the data. And we'll use this later on when we get into the order processing of reading that data and sending it over to our backend REST API. Alrighty, so for our checkout form, we're going to simply repeat the process for other sections of the form. So we've already done the work for customer. We'll do a similar thing for shipping address, billing address, credit card, and also a section at the bottom of reviewing your order. Alrighty, so I'm not going to show all of the source code here in the slides because it's really just more of the same. I'll wait till we get into the actual coding section of the video in the IDE and we'll write all the code. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and swing over to the IDE and let's write some code.